Welcome everybody to another edition of In Real Time with NNK. How'd you guys like that intro?
God damn, that was a tasty intro. I got excited watching it for like the millionth time. It was fucking
Nice.
sick.
I finished it this morning at 2 a.m. So that was fun. Well, we've got a lot of cool things to kick off today. We've got a new special guest. So we've got Chad from Texas Paintball. He is the manager out there at my home field and a lot of NNK members out there. That's our home field. So we're going to be talking about that, getting ready for our next Texas Revolution game. So, Chad, how's it going?
Doing good. How about y'all?
Good. I am ready for winter break. School's just about done, and I know mentally, physically, we're just ready to get on break.
Yep, same.
and then we realized daycare also closes down. I'm like, oh,
full-time dad.
Yes.
Happen. Yep.
So I know we're really excited for the next installment for Texas Revolution. Like I said, it's our home field, so we definitely appreciate everything about it. And being so used to Texas paintball, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse because it's such a good field that when you go anywhere else, you're just like, oh, okay. But, it's paintball, so we all have fun anyway. So a lot of people that are traveling from outside of the state or within the state typically want to get to the field earlier as possible just so they can start setting everything up. So what's the earliest day, since the game starts on Saturday, what's the earliest day during the week and time that players are able to set up their camp? And then where is the camp area located?
Not super picky as far as when people show up. I mean, I'd say most people in the past have showed up Thursday night, Friday. That's fine. If you want to show up Wednesday, that's fine too. We'll always have a spot ready for you. Without a map showing, the second you enter, just off to the right, there's going to be open fields there set up for everyone to park RV, truck, whatever you bring. If you want to pitch a tent, that's fine. But we have plenty of space available for everyone. We'll just direct you to where you need to be. If you just come and meet us in the store or whoever's there, we can get you set up.
Awesome. Cool. So it's Texas. I know it starts getting cold and everyone likes their campfires. What are the options for building fires at their own campground, contain fire pits? What's the situation with that?
Yeah, I mean, if you have a contained situation, if you bring some sort of fire pit that's getting closed, don't just like set up on some dry grass and just start burning. That's not preferred. But if you have something that you can set up that's going to contain the fire, no problem, go for it. We also have our large fire pit that's usually going to be burning throughout the night. So if you want to hang out there and then head back to your campsite, you're welcome to do that as well.
Sweet. And then as far as like cleanup and whatnot, will Texas Paintball be handing out black trash bags for players to keep their campsites clean?
Yeah, we'll have plenty of trash bags available. We'll put out a couple of our larger, I think they're the 30-gallon trash cans, just kind of spread out around in that in the camping area. So you're welcome to offload your stuff into there, or if you want just your own stuff right next to your campsite, we'll provide you with trash bags for that. And then come end of the event, just have all your stuff piled up. We'll just swing by, scoop it up, and throw it in our garbage can top.
Sweet. So as far as like what time do you want like us kick us out? Like what time do we need to be everything cleaned up by?
I mean, closing time on Sunday, 6 o'clock. We, like to start moving everything towards the trash can up top there, and just kind of having while we have all of our employees come through and just get everything cleaned up and done by that time. I mean, but we're always flexible, always willing to work with you. But preferably Sunday around 6:30. It should be good.
Sweet. Awesome. So, that time is obviously way after the game's going to be over, but those of you that want to stay and join in rec ball, you guys are more than welcome to. The only restriction is we don't mix first strikes with rec ball. So,
Round
now
ball.
if they still want to kind of do their own mag fed whatever and coordinate that with you guys, that's fine. But we do not mix first strike rounds with rec ball players.
Right.
So just make sure you switch that with field paint. So speaking of paint, the prices I know we've got posted on the flyer. So let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. So it looks like round ball, $20 a bag for 500 rounds. And then the first strikes, 60 for the 150s. I know a lot of players have been talking about pre-ordering paint, whether it's round ball or first strikes, especially first strikes. You don't have to do that with Texas Paintball. So Chad, give us the rundown on that.
Yeah, I pre-ordered tons of first strikes, pretty much enough to last us for a whole year when I place my order. So we have never had a shortage of first strikes at an event. So there's going to be plenty. Show up, we'll get you taken care of however much you need. And same goes for round ball. I mean, we'll have pallets of paint ready to go for y'all. So no need to worry about any pre-purchasing or anything like that. Show up to the event and we'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. And real quick, for those guys that haven't played in a while, First Strike did modify their terms of what a case is. So a case used to be the giant boxes of 600. Nowadays, when you order a case, it's a box of 2 bags, which is 300. So keep that in mind when you're asking for how many cases of paint that you need.
Yeah.
We're going to scoot over to the chat real quick there, Perky.
Yeah.
We got NNK in the house. We got Mr. Striker himself. We got Squirrel in here, Smokey. We got 12 gauge. Got some misfits in here, Mr. Frank. We got a Narco Scully running around in there saying, yo. We got some gorillas down there, too.
Nice.
We do got a question, though. What are the details on the EG-67 grenades?
So that is still in the works. I know the ATF had a really big kind of dig into the whole pyrotechnic scene, and that's still getting figured out. I've been on and off the phone with my rep over there. They have come up with a solution to the EG-67. From what I understand, it was the materials that were used as the combustibles is what they had pretty much said that they couldn't use. So they've switched over to a different formula. That they can now, mass produce and sell to, standard consumers that aren't considered professionals or anything like that. So I will be trying to get my hands on as many of those as possible, as well as our standard WP-40 smokes that we've always purchased from them. Those are still legal and fine. It's just a matter of getting the EG-67s and getting them on site. So more than likely we will have them available as long as nothing crazy happens.
Sweet.
Awesome.
But in outside of that, the Thunder Bees are also still
Thunder Bees. We should have plenty of those in stock. We always have the small little 12-gram CO2s in stock as well. So if you have your own stock, go ahead and bring them. Any of those, there's no field use only or anything like that. Just if you have some of your own stock, you want to bring them and use them, go ahead.
Sweet.
We got another question. I just want to confirm I can use purchased First Strike from Texas Paintball's last year's event.
Correct. Yeah. If you've purchased any First Strikes from us in the past, they are still usable at our field.
Beautiful. Love to hear it.
Yeah, man.
Keep it going, Perky.
That's why we love Texas Paintball. More and more. Another thing to add to the list of why we love. So we talked about paint prices, all this stuff. Actually, no. So you and I had a discussion about getting the winter paint and whatnot. So some mag fetters will be surprised about this, but those of y'all that want to run Evil, that price list is not posted on here. It is kind of a more premium paint. Chad, do you have a updated price on that? for the
I
event?
think we were eyeballing right around probably $25 a bag there.
Okay.
Evil, it is more premium paint, and with their cold formula, yeah, those of y'all, I would probably recommend. If you have an EMF 100 and you're running those better mags, that's totally fine to use. I have seen people with TMCs or even the T15 First Strike guns. Those magazines have been a little bit harder on the paint. I don't know that I would recommend the Evil for them. Just the standard field round ball that we have is a good probably option for that. But if you have an EMF and you have
The CS20.
been running those, go for it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So with the winter paint, the shell's going to be a little stiffer. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal for the EMF 100s. Awesome. So again, for those of you that haven't been to Texas Paintball, so Texas Paintball will be staying open for the normal rec ball and birthday parties. So the field will be divided up into two halves. So the game, how it's written is we'll have a day portion. We'll bring up the maps later when we get the Night Stalkers on, but we'll have the day game split up to the upper half of the field, and then the night game will be the lower half of the field. So there still will be other players in play, but on the opposite fields. We won't ever mix with them unless you're done with the event after Sunday and you want to switch over and play and have some more fun. That's totally fine. So the fields are shaped collectively as a horseshoe. So 9 of the 10 fields, I'm not counting airball, but 9 of the 10 fields form a horseshoe, which allows the event to run super, super smoothly for the last, at least 3 years with 3 or 4 years here, and then additional years for other MagFed events prior. So already mentioned, if you want to hop in rec ball, don't use first strikes. But everything else, round ball, any kind of marker, that's totally fine. Was it 10.2? Do we have a cap for?
Yeah, EPS has always been 10.2.
Sweet, awesome. Last question for you. Actually, 2 questions. Bathroom situation. So, what are the bathroom? Excuse me. What's the bathroom situation during open hours and then after hours for those that are camping?
Yeah, so we have 4 bathrooms total on our site. They're all connected to the building, but 2 of them will be open at all times, regardless if the store is closed or not. They're on the outside. Their doors remain unlocked. Anyone camping, you're welcome to use those. And then during open hours, which is generally we show up there around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, all the way till about 6:30, 7 o'clock, maybe 7:30. And then for the night game, we do stay open for the store. So that'll probably close maybe around I think it runs till about 10 o'clock. I can't remember the timeline there. But if the store's open, the inside bathrooms are open. If the store's closed, the 2 outside bathrooms will be open for use.
Awesome. Sweet. And then last question. So for players that are wanting to check in for the event, and I think this will probably also mainly be maybe a Texas Revolution, when are we allowing people to check in on Friday?
So Friday, standard store hours are going to be open from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay.
You're welcome to come in, knock out your waiver if you haven't, filled one out, or if it's expired, you can knock another one out there. Do that. If you have your, tickets already pre-purchased, that's fine. We can do all of our necessary process with y'all at that time, and then everything else will be through the Night Stalkers when they show up. I'm not sure what their timeline is on that. I think they usually show up right around maybe 5 or 6 on Friday, but that'll be a question for them. But everything that we can do on our end, we'll do from 4 to 8 on Friday.
Sweet. Yeah, so if you need to get paint and whatnot, you're all as long as the store's open, you can get it. Mm-hmm. Awesome, Chad. Thank you. I know we had a time crunch with you getting you in, and we got 6 minutes to spare. So
look at that.
All right, man. If you guys have any other questions, go ahead. Don't feel like you can't ask questions. So if you feel like you need to ask any other specific questions, go ahead and ask here, and then we'll either get in touch with Chad and then make a larger post later, or you're more than welcome just to call Texas Paintball or reach out on their social media page, and Chad will get back to you as soon as he can. Awesome. Thank you, Chad. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right. Sweet. I'm super excited. All right. We've got Red. We've got Bad Wolf. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Oh,
Good,
you
man.
got
Doing
fixed
good.
him. Love it.
Yeah.
Man, that Night Stalker logo, man. It's like his head is swapped into
He is the Night
gargoyle.
Stalker. Yeah.
He's almost like Homer Simpson just going back into the bush.
It keeps tracking me. Never mind.
We're really about to get jumped by the gargoyle on our logo.
Well, actually, let me piggyback real quick on what we were talking about for registration real quick. So I know last year Greg was there helping out with registrations the day before. What do you guys have set up in terms of that for Friday? For timeline?
Friday, we should be. I mean, we
Greg.
got to talk internally about when everyone can be there, but probably like 6 o'clock ish.
Okay.
We can be there. I don't know. It's really up to Burke because Burke is the one who's local.
Right.
I nominate Greg.
You nominate Greg. Well,
Yeah,
I don't know,
always...
6 or 7. We'll post it.
Okay.
Usually we open up registration for a couple hours on Friday.
Cool.
For those guys that get there early, and then we're there super early in the morning.
Yeah.
Obviously the day of the event.
Yeah. There's plenty of time to do all that. I'm just thinking as far as those that are like coming to camp, like just for them to have a timeline of when they can check in.
And we have a process that makes it pretty quick. We get a few guys on the team working the desk and processing everybody. All the pre-registered guys. Hey, if you're pre-registered, get out of this line. We're making a new line right over here. Oh, okay. Which of you are red? Okay, we're gonna make an even shorter line for you, and then we're gonna make a short line for blue guys. And we break it up, and so that we can process as many people as quickly as possible. So
Sweet.
I don't feel like we've had an issue where we've had like people whining about the
no,
door.
never.
It's pretty good. I will say it's pretty good. When you guys split the line, it makes a lot of sense and it gets done pretty quickly.
Yep.
And I'm that guy coming in, when everybody else is. I'm not an early bird, that's for sure.
Right.
So it's definitely moves pretty quick.
And then if you guys also have more merchandise for the event, I think you guys were mentioning instead of doing headbands, you've got some other items. Are you guys doing patches?
Yeah. Of course, we're gonna have an event patch.
Sweet.
We're gonna have headbands instead of head wraps.
Okay.
The camo colors sold out so fast last time, so I only bought camo colors. I bought like a black camo, a desert camo, a woodlands camo. Oh, and then I got like red, white, and blue camo, which obviously isn't actually camo, but
Yeah, he whispered to me too. He got gold camo just for me. That's right.
Just one, just one.
I would buy. I'd
extra
pay
to have
extra.
one.
I would pay extra to
You
have
would.
gold
You would.
camo.
And then we're gonna have barrel socks.
Sweet.
So we're gonna have some barrel socks. We're trying to make some humorous barrel socks. They're just plain bright colors. At first you're like, oh, let's do camo barrel socks, but then when you lose your camo barrel sock, if it falls out of your pocket or drops off, now it's lost.
That's why I see every time I see a really, really nice either anodized or spray painted MagFed marker, and you're like, man, it looks sick, but man, if you put that down, you're not gonna find it ever.
Right. So barrel socks I think are meant to be bright colors. So you want people to see that.
Right.
Other hand, that you're out. Right. Don't shoot me. Barrel socks right here. So we're gonna have those to sell, and just so we're clear, for the reason we sell merchandise is because we want to keep the cost of the event low. Okay, the cost on everything has gone up. The cost of paint has gone up. When it comes to shipping and first strikes of the cost of all the props and everything that we've done. The supplies that we use make the props out of, all that stuff has gone up in price. But so we try to keep the cost of the event low, and then we try to make that back on the back end with merchandise sales.
Sweet. Hey, I love patches. I mean, I've got an entire wall of patches.
Right.
So call me a patch war, whatever.
We got a couple questions, or a question. It's probably a good one though. How many grenades is a person allowed to carry on their person during the game?
I think
Ooh.
it's 3. I don't know if we put a
I think there's. Hold on one second.
Hold on, I'm now pulling up the rule book.
I thought I had it in front of me, but I closed
We got
it by
Mr.
accident.
Squirrel in here saying it's 3.
It is 3.
He is
pretty damn
It's
sure.
almost like I'm prepared having the rules.
I think he's read the rules, and I don't think he saw something.
So it says players are restricted to carrying no more than 3 grenades at a time on their person.
Oh yeah, sure enough.
There you
That
go.
sounds
There it
correct.
is.
It sounds like a Squirrel thing though. Shields, grenades, running into buildings. He would know. You would know.
But this also says there's no restriction on the amount of paint, tubes, pods, rockets, grenades, or magazines a player may store at their HQ.
Correct.
So they can always just run back to and if you played at Texas Paintball, it does not take long to get back to your HQ.
No.
Yep, there it is. Under grenade kills. Players are restricted to carrying no more than 3 grenades at a time on their person.
Yep.
But the rule does not apply to smoke grenades. The smoke grenades are considered non-lethal and may be used, but not thrown into buildings.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Because otherwise you get burn marks on the walls and.
Yeah, and then Chad would not be happy.
No.
Hell with Chad. Watch out for Dave. Dave has a lot. Dave has a lot to say about those stains from the smokes.
Burn marks.
On
Oh yeah, especially those that try to use smoke grenades on airball. Burnt the turf.
Oh.
Yeah,
love that.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Yeah, those are fun.
Who let that one go?
Some
Someone got
birthday
in trouble.
party.
Now,
Love that.
All right, so
now
before
I'm imagining like a USX ball or NXL event and someone like off break throws a smoke.
That would be sick. On it, like if it didn't burn the turf, honestly, the amount of crazy you're playing blind paintball. Just close your eyes. Just imagine the bunkers.
You gotta make sure you get one of the
Ghost
illegal
Sports is
smokes
like,
now, the
and
giant ones.
someone's trying to make a move. We can't really tell.
So before we bring on the commanders, it was crazy. I had to go back and count and then double check. Has it been that many? So we're coming up to the 7th installment of Texas Revolution. Like, that's also something to be really, really proud of, to be able to say, hey, this is now going to be our 7th game. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I already feel old just saying that, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
But at the
it
same
really
time,
does feel like yesterday that we kicked this off.
Right.
Like three of us on this screen right now have kids that we didn't have when the first one started happening, and they're all born around the same time. So
yeah.
Rookie, you didn't have a kid, did you? Did I leave you out?
I have 2 kids.
No, a new one.
Oh no more. Hopefully.
Yeah, well, we all.
No.
Yep.
Y'all are all recently all at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny because not too long ago I remember having the conversation about complaining and bitching about the one-day game to Burke and Red at CAX actually, and be like, man, I don't want to drive all the way out there to go play this one-day game. And that one year that I complained was the only game I missed. I ended up making the other one-day games in the middle of the summer, and then that other one with D-Rock and Perky. And so I kind of regret it now, but we're not. That's neither here nor there.
I mean,
we should probably check to see how many people have been to all 7, or after this one's over, how many have been to all 7. Because I'm curious. There's been a few.
He's just butthurt he didn't get a barrel. That's it.
We gave out this barrel.
Sold it. I would have sold it. I mean, unless I said I wasn't. I don't remember if I did or not, but that would have got sold.
What's funny is Rook was like, man, I think I've been to all the events, knowing he has not been to all the events.
No, well, actually,
I think I've been to all the events. And I'm like, yeah, let me check the registration on that.
I was the one that corrected
me. I could have swore I went to all of them. I was like, I've never missed one. I was like, I would never say this to you ever again, but I was like, it's like one of my favorite events. I was like, I would have never missed any of them. And then he was like, no, dude, you didn't go to one. And I was like, which one was that? And he brought it up to me. I was like, fuck, I didn't. I was like, oopsie. I was like, I swore that I thought I'd been to all of them. But that's on me.
But that being said, like, this is a game, like, if you're obviously here, you're already obviously registered or thinking about registering for the game, like, it's not a game that you want to miss. Whether you play the 2-day games or the 1-day game, like, it's all great, all fun, and memories are had, and excited again for the next year when it comes around, or 6 months. Now that we have the 7th one coming up, just around the corner, what are the top maybe 2-3 lessons that you guys have learned as producers since 2020? I guess is when you wrote it, right? Because then the first production would have been 2021.
Well, it goes back as far as 2019, but I mean, now that you brought up the future events, Burke, do you think is a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've already talked to Chad about it. So, we talked about how, we just had kids, and we both have had career, either for him, a career change, for me, a career
promotion shift.
And and so we're taking a break from Texas Revolution after this event.
Okay.
We're leaving the door open
Okay.
to this will be the last one for at least a year, and then we're going to reevaluate
Okay.
and see what capacity, because this has been very difficult to
It's
find the
super
time.
taxing. I mean, it's super fun to produce.
The day of is amazing. The day of is amazing.
Day of is absolutely great. Even the day
But the
before is
hours
fine.
and hours
Yeah.
and hours that goes into just, we want to do it right. I mean, look, we
Wait,
could spend a lot less time and make a more simple event where, you know, we always say you could just throw a thing and say boom, right? Instead of
Right.
having actual detonating
Boom.
props.
Right.
You know, and Burke's Garage
is taken over.
is taking
So I
over.
mean,
You know,
I guess like your question really
yeah,
wasn't
go
what
ahead,
we do
Bert.
in the future, but like how do we, what do we learn? Well, I
Right.
mean, one, we first of all, we had a great time like producing it and coming up with it. The first one in particular was just, where do you start? How do you start? You know, it started really with Chad and partnering with him and getting some baseline agreements together, and that was like August of 2020. But like Christian said, this sort of thing started in 2019. I think it kind of started out of frustration with the last Snake Eater and how that all went, if anybody was there. But we were just very like, there's got to be another level. Like, we got to be able to take this to a different level. Like,
Okay.
somebody's got to be able to do things that's a little bit more tangible. I want to be able to like feel like I disarm something, not to like trash anything or events, but like, just for example, there was like, seemed like missions ran out at like 3 p.m., but the game kept going for another 2 hours and there was nothing to do. And it was running around in a field that had no bunkers. So just a kind of a poor experience out of frustration. They're like, I bet we could do it. So it was just a challenge. And I didn't expect that we would do it for this long. And I didn't expect that we would do it. We're not really sure if we're going to even break even on the first one. I mean, it was so much expense putting our money where our mouth
Thousands of dollars
was.
out of our own personal pockets.
That
to
first game
we
was
fronted the
100%.
expenses.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
game was 100% financed by Christian and I the first go round, and we ended up being able to break or cover the expenses and make a little bit extra profit. And then we had to figure out what to do with it. So we turned it into a team account thing so that we could not be
And
our
so then
money,
it
but
became an
just basically
LLC.
team.
So
Yeah, and then
TXNS
the next thing I know, we had to open an
involved
LLC
in
to avoid.
LLC.
Yeah, so we didn't have to deal with 36% freaking taxes
Right.
because it wasn't income for us. It wasn't our money. We were putting it back towards the team, so we had to keep it as like
Right.
Right.
That's a whole
Right.
story if
Fund.
anybody wants it. But anyway, yeah, so we didn't really know what to do. Then we had to figure that out. Then the demand was pretty high right after the first event. We kind of, we bit off more than we could chew, and we just kind of kept on chewing, and we got it. We got it done. Like, it actually worked out great. It all started with, if anybody remembers the first few games, with this giant bomb prop that was supposed to be, it was like a pivotal thing that was day one and day two. Day one was all about decoding and unlocking and finding and retrieving and hopefully not blowing yourself up when you open it. And then the day two was using it against the enemy with the sort of a very sandbox style mission that could take place kind of whenever over the span of 3 hours. And it's very push and pull. But yeah, so that was how it all started, with just really one big prop. And then we're like, well, how are we going to fill 2 days up with other stuff? And the next thing you know, the more I built the bomb props, the more I started realizing, like, well, we could do this. And then the fuel mission came about, and then the cutting the wires on the IEDs that are strapped to CO2 cylinders that looks like a warhead, IED. And next thing you know, we had all sorts of stuff. And that was actually probably the funnest part. Was for like an entire 6 months, I was basically just building my notoriety with the ATF and FBI and my online purchases and stuff like that. The not so fun part is fixing all of those things when they inevitably break. That's actually become like a huge, like, oh God, I got to rebuild this prop again. We actually had one that got stolen out of somebody's car, and so that had to be completely rebuilt and replaced. But yeah, it's been pretty fun and taxing and pricing, and also rewarding getting it done. But it's also just been kind of a lifestyle shift with both of us having kids and job changes and so on and so forth. And it's just a tough time of year to be planning a game. It's a great month to play paintball. It's probably one of the best that didn't have any events in it, and that's
Mhm.
tough. But
So we're spending our Christmas holidays like planning this event out.
Yeah.
yeah,
to the
this
detail.
month is like,
And now our holidays
I-
matter a whole lot more because
100%.
we have
Right.
oh
somewhere to
yeah, and I'm
celebrate
sitting
it
here looking at
on.
my wife like, okay, I need to go in the garage. I also need to do this. I got to do a podcast. Baby's been fed, all this sort of stuff. That's almost every day, like throughout the month of December. So,
Yep.
But we really do stand by the idea, and we'd love to see some teams who would totally support teams. It don't have to go as hardcore as we kind of did. We just kind of went off the rails, but we really did kind of hope that there would be this sort of new community of Texas-based teams basically producing a game,
Right.
partnering with the home field, making a little bit of money for their team and keeping the money in the teams and in the community. It never really quite took off. Again, it doesn't have to be quite as hardcore as what we ended up doing. It just sort of happened that way. I don't know. I just wanted to build shit to see if I could build it. And then when I did, I came up with a new idea. And then everybody had such positive reaction that the bar kept going up. So, but I would show up to anyone's event that is, Black Tree or Hosanna with Kingsman or any of these NNK. If you guys put on an event, say, hey, we're going to do a 1 day, 2 day game, whatever. And even if it's not crazy props, and you guys can borrow some if you want to, but I'll show you how they fucking work. Hosting an event and we would show up to play that event 100%. I would
Now,
hope
that
that would happen.
brings me to a few questions for you guys and the Night Stalker. So, one, sad to hear that.
Yeah.
I've said it plenty of times. It's one of my favorite events of the year. It's our birthday weekend. I came up with NNK at the first
2021.
Texas Texas Revolution over there at Texas Paintball. And your props are cool as shit. They're kind of scary. Some of them are real sus looking. You got stuff strapped on with switches and whatnot, but they're fun and you have them in your pocket and you feel like you're really doing something kind of dangerous. But what does that mean for the Night Stalkers? What does that mean for y'all playing? What does that mean for the team?
We're hoping to do more of that. That's kind of
The trade-off?
that's me personally. Christian's got to play a few more games than I have. And I'm hoping to get a little bit more focus on playing because there's so much time taken up with the game that once it's all done, it's like, I don't want to think
And then
about
you're still
paintball.
not done. You got to clean it up and you got to.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's the 2 months or 3 months afterwards, I'm like, I don't even want to think about paintball. And my wife really doesn't want me to think about paintball because she just tolerated all of this. So then it's like, well, there's the entire spring season gone. And then the fall season starts up and then all the holidays start coming around and paintball's getting going again. But then also we start planning our event. So then it's a very delicate balance between regular work, paintball work, and then trying to squeeze in paintball fun. And I personally have not had enough fun in paintball. That's not to say I haven't had fun, but I haven't had a lot of recreational fun in a couple of years, to be perfectly frank. And I'm hoping to turn that around starting next year.
There's definitely a fine line that sometimes gets blurred when you start working in the industry and then you lose kind of that fun aspect because it's become a job, right? And so, I was talking to a guy that works in the industry and the fabrication side, and I asked him, like, when's the last time you played? And he was like, a year. It was at Folded Gap, and he was like, a year ago this event. I'm like, man, you got to get back in and just play. Just go play rec ball. Just like,
I mean, we were
back in
playing
and
before
enjoy.
Texas Revolution. We're out there kicking ass, and I mean,
6,
we're
7,
do
8
the same
games a
thing.
year.
Yeah. And I mean, we had some great prospects. Right now, a couple guys that were. I don't know if you saw, but 4 of us went to official.
Yeah.
And got MVT, and then these 2 dudes got MVT at CAX, which and they literally got shipped their Night Stalker apparel like the day of the game.
That day.
That day.
Sweet.
So
we get it
the team
though.
is still growing. The team is still growing, and as a team, we have no plan to slow down in terms of playing.
I think that's the answer I wanted to hear. I was, at the end of the day, me and Perkins actually talked about it, I think last night or the night before.
Yeah.
I had a couple ideas rolling around in my head, producing events, but tournaments, not necessarily scenarios. Gotten asked a couple questions from a couple different fields. Damn.
Bro, you're even rolling heads back there, man.
Skull fell
Exactly.
off.
Always murdering. Anyways, yeah, I mean, to produce these things, but then I was like, I spent a lot of time in paintball. I thought about what you guys, do and how Christmas is important now. And I got, 7, 8 year olds and stuff like that. And it's like, um, I wanted to do so. What was that jersey you showed me the other day?
So the Texas Coalition.
Yes, to send us out of state and go, wreck shop in another state as Texas.
Mhm.
But then I sat back and I was like, well, shit, I want to have fun. Yes, it would be cool if I organized all these guys together and did all that, but I would do that for my team selfishly. But do I want to spend hours upon hours doing that for, Texas ballers? And at the end of the day, you gotta balance, your family and your fun. And sometimes it doesn't go that way. But I'm just happy to hear you guys ain't slowing
Yeah.
down, and we'll see you out there. And I'm always happy with that.
So basically, I think what Rook was saying is down the pipeline, there may be some games that it would be nice for all Texas guys, whether it's
Yes.
NNK,
Cool.
Night Stalkers,
We've done it in the past
Archangels,
too.
Yeah.
right,
Once
and
We
in a
go, we
just
go to
while.
like
massively go.
Florida and like wreck shit over there at Super Game or something. I think it'd be cool. We went to Fold the Gap. It was kind of cool seeing teams from other states.
Mhm.
I figured out that I know a lot more people than I thought I knew. Like I'd see somebody, I was like, "Oh, hey, I remember you." Like, "Hey, buddy." Everybody's just so inviting. And I just think Texas should do more of that because I
Mhm.
think after playing in a different states and different parts of the world, we play a little different than a lot of people do.
Mhm.
We beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
We don't
Put it
slow
lightly.
down. We put
Uh,
it, man. We went to Indiana, and I mean, holy
Soft people
shit,
over there, man.
we were not.
Sorry,
God
Tristan
damn.
Allen Pierce.
No, but we were. It was fun. It was it was Cobra, me, just a bunch of like randos from Texas. And man, we pushed the shit out of these towers and we made it there. And it was just nonstop, shit we do.
Yep.
And it was just cool to see. And I think it'd be cool to do it with with other teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
so we've made it one. Well, actually, um, after the first event, I think that later that October, Christian 5 or 6 guys went to Indiana
Mhm.
to the Ronin
I
Connect
saw.
Sport. But prior to the Texas Revolution, one game that kind of inspired us to take it up a notch while also being frustrated with Snake Ear, like I mentioned, was Enigma that was in Indiana at
Sherwood.
Blast Camp.
Last camp.
Oh,
No, Blast Camp. Produced by Caesar. I forget his last name, but Cisneros. And that was one hell of a MagFed game. I mean, it had some tangible props, had some decoding, had some things that we kind of implemented as well in our own way. Awesome field, fantastic field. But yeah, I mean, we went
We
out
stole
there
a
and
big,
just
big idea from them for this upcoming event.
yeah, the
So.
tape recorders thing.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, we had a blast, and we really wish we could have done it, but COVID kind of wrecked that whole. I don't even know if when they're going to produce another one. I've literally asked them twice a year for the last 4 years, and the answer is still, I don't know, maybe no, it's on hold, etc. But yeah, we had a great time. I really wish we went up there, followed Buddha because Buddha was commanding. There was 4 or 5 of us in a van, and we met up with Buddha. I think who else was up there? Dan Texan was up there. Anyone else, Christian? I'm thinking I can't. There was a lot of TFT guys that were up there, but that's kind of a
Yeah, a
mix
couple
of
TFT guys.
Louisiana and Texas. But I feel like there was a good 15 or more people from the Texas, Louisiana area, if I'm not mistaken. And that was awesome. We didn't really wear the coalition shirt because I like camo, but I wear it off the field. I wear it like to eat and represent.
Right.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'd be sick. I think
Yeah.
so. 0 hour, Squirrel just mentioned. I was just
Yep.
talking to Dan actually about doing it's escaping me what game he was talking
Are you
about. but
talking
we're-
about so there's N-War, 0 hour, Enigma,
He
and then
mentioned all those, but it's not. It's one right in the
Dominion
middle.
is in California.
No, 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 no. There's one in there that he mentioned because I remember he mentioned all those. He's going to a certain one, and I
Hey
said
Dan, if you're watching,
it's in
make
May.
a comment.
It's in May. But anywho, let's keep
Mhm.
this moving, Perk Alert.
All right. Well, let's bring on our commanders. And while we do that,
Hell yeah, Damon.
we
T
got
Rock said, "I like T Rev better than Fold the Gap, personally."
and I guess it's supposed to be super game.
Yeah, there you go.
He
He
missed
fixed
the
it.
And
Hitting the salt.
DJ saying Dominion. Is Dominion still around?
No,
Dominion
it's
actually did come back. So their first game, I think, is in February or March. Yeah, like when the notice came out, the game was within like 2-3 months, I think, of the first notification. But yeah, Dominion will be. I don't know if they're going to do another one after March, but hey, if they're back, I think the last one I went to was Dominion 3, and I had a blast. But again, it's kind of that same thing. Like we just steamrolled them. There's a video of me. I've got a shield and a barrel squeegee, and Dan Texan, I think, is far left of me, and I'm just like eliminating players, bibbity boppity boo with the squeegee, and there's 15 guys behind the shipping container, and there's photos and video of it, and
I've
they
seen this
see me
picture.
coming
I know
around the
what you're talking about.
corner. It's like boom, he killed the shield player, he dropped the shield, and the other 15 players were like, oh crap, and they all ran away, and it was just me with the squeegee.
all right. So that game
Californians.
That
They're
game
gonna start
was
banning squeegees now. They're gonna go
Ban
the way
all
of the.
squeegees.
They're gonna go the way of the
The
straw.
squeegees are too
plastic straw.
aggressive.
Balance of Power. That's the name of the game.
Oh, I heard
game
good
called.
things about that. I heard.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
good things about that one too.
That's the one.
We talked about that one, Bert, about going
we
to
did.
Balance of
We
Power.
almost went, and I
But
think it was me.
it was the amount of money we didn't just. There's a lot of there wasn't.
And it was just gonna be
that
you,
we
me,
hit-
and Greg. We're gonna spend a fortune just for 3 of us.
Right.
to go.
The three of us were
Well,
basically going to spend a fortune
Right, so if
to
we
go
have
there,
like a
and
big
then
Texas group going, you know, we can split a giant Airbnb like 8 ways or whatever or
We
more.
need a
fuck that.
bus. We need to like rent a Newton's bus.
All right.
Cool.
Introduce
All right.
our-
We got our new commanders. So we got Jalen on blue side, we got Chris on red. So Jalen is on the Phoenix Collective. His EXO is Alan Gilbert from Black Tree. And then what's the blue faction name for this series?
oh man, you're asking all these questions.
We
The
change this
Protectorate.
every damn time. Yes.
The Protectorate.
on top of the
Well, story
game.
matters. All right.
The Protectors?
The Protectorate. So these are. Here, I'll read off of our backstory here. Did I send you the backstory?
No, but I
What is that?
found it. Nope, that's the wrong one. Let's see. Brand. Let's see. Mhm. Let's see. Settings.
I would talk about the flip map at some point.
While we're waiting,
I'll
let's
look into
read
that.
some of this chat real quick. BJ, no, not Dominion. We figured that out. No, you cannot have my children, BJ. What else kind of weird stuff we got going on in here? Damon said Christian always gives me shit in return for telling him that his game sucks. He said, good sport.
I don't have, so I guess the storyline only stops at Agent Green. I don't have the updated.
Oh, okay. If I email it to you right now.
Yeah, sure.
would that work?
Rook, any other
All right.
comments? Questions?
No more comments or questions. We got some hellos. Your nephew is watching, says hi, Alexandra Hall. I don't know.
That's my sister.
Oh.
Don't say it like that. You got to be like, yeah.
You got to be the
Funkle,
Funkle, man. You got to be the Funkle.
Yeah, that's my
Uncle.
sister.
Uncle.
What's up,
Yeah, I'm supposed to be
nephew?
taking him out to his first time playing paintball soon.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old is he?
I think he's 10. I think he's like 9
There
or
you
10
go.
now.
Let's do
Something like
Texas
that.
Revolution, dude. Well, I'll take care of him all weekend. I'm the best babysitter in the world. I
How
got
do
me.
you
shoot? But how do you shoot 10-year-olds?
Hey, they signed a
In the
waiver.
face.
That's how you shoot them.
That's right. It's
He's
No, no.
9. You're a bad
No,
uncle, dude. He's 9.
As an uncle, you sign the waiver for him, and then you
Oh, come on,
shoot
man.
him.
Come on, I teed that up for you. I teed it up. It's easy. You just don't lead them as much.
You gotta
Yeah.
get the money for that.
Yeah, come on.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for the faction stuff, so Jalen, what is
I sent the email.
kind of give us a rundown who you are, what got you involved with paintball, and then talk about anything that you want to tell your guys to rile them up to sign up for Blue.
So my name is Jalen. I'm with Phoenix Collective. We've been playing together as a team since 2017. Snake Eater 3 was actually our first big scenario game, and that converted us pretty much exclusively to MagFed at that point.
Just because you guys
and-
enjoyed it so much, or what was
Yeah.
sweet?
Yeah. I was a milsig guy for a long time. Really like the ergonomics on the milsig. I have over the last year and a half, I've completely converted to the MG100, but
That's a
still
no-brainer.
miss the some of the functionality from the milsig. But anyway, yeah. So we've been playing for a while. I really like the higher level leadership roles. I like individual shooting. I like it all. So I enjoy the puzzles. I enjoy I think the whole thing is kind of like combat project management. So come hang out with us, and we'll find a job for you.
Awesome. And then Texas Paintball is also your home field, correct?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yes.
So we spend plenty of hours. And actually, hey, Jalen even came up with a really fantastic couple of game modes for when we do our MagFed meetups with cards. And he's got like a really, really cool like kind of map. Cards are randomized, and then locations are randomized. So if you're interested in checking out some really, really interesting things, come out to Texas Paintball. We have a MagFed meetup once a month. Generally, it's the first Saturday of every month. And we try to get new people to run those, so that way it's not always the same thing. And plus, it gives other people a chance to step up, kind of run it, and maybe test out some games that they've been thinking about. So if you're really interested in that, that's always an option. And I know Narco Scully has one potentially going up this weekend. If as long as there's enough
It got
numbers.
postponed.
Yeah, it got postponed right as this started. They're going to postpone it till
it's in February now, I believe.
The February
February 3rd.
MagFed meetup.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to make
far
sure.
enough to where we can put it on our schedule now.
Yep.
So
yeah. Cool.
Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well,
while we wait.
I mean, my name's Chris. Not really anything special with that. I run a little team from Harker Heights, Texas called Havoc Tactical Paintball. We've been around since 2018. Been like 5 or 6 years now. I don't know. But, we've been around. We do a lot of tactical milsim stuff, and we don't go as hardcore as a lot of other people, but, where it counts, we tend to always, if you've played with us, we can either sit in a box for like hours and sit there and nothing can get into there, or we can just go take whatever. That's just how it is. None of my guys are afraid of doing things. I always tell them to go do things, but other than that, we keep it simple. We play the game, make sure everyone has fun involved. It's pretty simple. Cold cut.
Yep. So Chris Rodriguez is from Havoc, and then myself from NNK will be his XO. So it's going to be a good time. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Being Chris's XO, and I might have to do a thing called running. So we'll see.
You will definitely be running. Don't worry, I'll bring my inhaler for you.
Yeah, I'll probably need it with the cooler weather. my asthma ass self.
Get that
all right,
story?
so we've got the backstory real quick. Do you want to give us the rundown, or do you want to?
Sure. So we were kind of playing. So we have this ongoing storyline, right? Where you have this militia group, right? And they're always fighting against, and this militia group sometimes has changed, sometimes it's like different factions of militia groups, but they're always facing off against like an outside invader, right? And so the early stories revolved around a militia or group of militias trying to break away from, create an independent Texas, and the United States hiring a mercenary group. And so that mercenary group beat in the first couple games. The blue team won, which was like that mercenary group. And then in the third game, the militia won. And so now the story had to shift a little bit. So now that the militia won, now it's an independent Texas. It's like, okay, well, if you're a militia group, um, you know, just because you have the skills to break away, right, doesn't mean you necessarily have the skills to lead, right, or to create a new sovereign country, right? And so there's all this anarchy, right? And so then the next couple events revolved around this cartel that was trying to carve out like a section of Texas. Um, uh, and um, and then we started like, so we had a couple games that involved this cartel group, and then we kind of wanted to play with this idea of like started to go in maybe a science fiction direction, right? But not so far that we're like goofy, right? We wanted to keep it somewhat realistic, and so we started to implement this idea of like Agent Green and this like chemical substance that like now you have like these private companies that are now taking advantage of the anarchy, right? And so this one private company is behind this like this Agent Green chemical, and
Right.
so then I started asking around, and I'm kind of like I'm trying to like this story is just kind of evolving and evolving, and I'm trying to keep it going, and I'm thinking like, man, it would be cool if we could just kind of like not hit, I want to keep it like a continuity, but I kind of
Mhm.
want to hit the reset button, you know?
Mm.
Um, like I kind of want to like go a different direction, right? And to where I'm not so tied to the storyline of the last 6 games.
Okay.
Um, and so uh, and so we started playing with this idea of going into the future.
Okay.
And I had some pretty wacky ideas, man. I had one was like we're like 3,000 years in the future, and Texas has like been nuked into orbit, and and there's like a Texas-shaped asteroid floating in space, you know. And I was told that was too far. Um, so in this event, the year is 2050, and so there's been regime changes. There's been war. There's anarchy, and so we now in the last, so when we started playing with this idea, AI was becoming like a big deal, right? Everyone's hearing about Chat GPT, and now it's kids cheating on their essays, but tomorrow it's going to be everyone losing their jobs, right? And uh and so um so we started playing with this idea of artificial intelligence, right? And you know uh and so we have this one group, the Protectorate, and let me say this: artificial in this storyline, artificial intelligence has already been like established, and like robotics and AI, like AI once kind of man, I don't want to steal too much from Terminator here, but like AI developed to a point where robotics could develop quickly, right? And so we're in a world where robotics and AI have developed immensely, right? And so
Right.
Texas has sort of become like this wild west, this almost like space western, right? In a sense,
Space
uh,
cowboy.
space cowboys, um, and
Now I'm
with
thinking the movie
bashless
with
chaps,
arthritis.
or something.
Space
Yeah.
cowboys with
Space
arthritis.
cowboy sounds way cool. I'm sorry.
Oh, maybe that's the next one if we, Sex Revolution, Space Cowboys.
Space
And so
cowboy.
you have this group that's like defending the AI, and the AI is kind of like in the background as like this uh is in the background kind of in charge, and the Protectorate is this group um that's defending it. And then you have this uh then you have this resistance group, and well, my plan in the storyline is that actually this resistance group will be a like 2 generations or so, or generation to 2 generations from the like cartel, right? And so you have like this sort of like Texas Mexican sort of like resistance group that still wants to live really kind of in the past, I guess, right? Like wants to live in a world where robotics and AI doesn't, rule your life, right? It wants to live in a world that's like, you know, traditional Western. And so then we kind of like and then Andrew and I were like, we spent like 2 days, probably spent like 4 or 5 hours over 2 days trying to come up with a title that like had this sort of like Western, this Western a feel to it, but also kind of like this ominous feel to it. And then we wanted to like bring in this AI kind of thing. So we're trying to come up with that. And here's kind of the funny part. The title of the event is AI generated, and the artwork for the event is AI generated. Now, I went in there and like I made my own adjustments or whatever, but like I would go on ChatGPT and I'm like, give me 50 names, you know, for a space western, you know, and then it would like generate a bunch of names. I'm like, I don't like any of those, you know, and then, you know, take those names and make them more ominous, you know, and then it would like, you know, and so we just played with that over and over again, and just had like these long discussions over what we. So, anyways, we came with the title of A Sentient Frontier. So
If the
that's the
AI can
backstory.
just fix the props and write the missions and print everything out
Right.
properly for me, then we could do this forever. But right now, it's still up to us. God damn it!
But no, I'm
If
gonna
you're
be
not
writing the story for
understanding
each mission.
why this takes a lot out of us, that story on how we came up with a title, and the setting and all that sort of stuff, it's not copy and paste, right? And
Yeah,
then on
I'm
top,
not gonna rip off like some other franchise and like I want our event to be original in every regard. The props are original, the missions are original, the story is original, everything is original, and that to me is part of producing a high quality event.
Yep.
Yeah, not repeating. So,
right.
But yeah, a lot goes into it. So we sit around just trying to figure out how to make missions make a storyline sense. And why are we sending them to this location? And why are they are they doing this thing with this prop? And of course, we do need to reuse props because that's the expensive part. But the trying to figure out, well, why are they disarming this IED again at this location? How does that fit in a storyline? You know, it's not just a simple, because if it was just like, go here, blow something up, go there, disarm something, go there, take and hold. You know, we could probably slap that together in an afternoon. But yeah, so it's time consuming.
So Jalen had to pop off. He had to leave prior engagement with his family. But like I told him, everything that is on here will be viewable later. So if you guys ever need to go back, rewatch some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, maybe some props about the game, the maps, the day map, the night map, for that insider information. Obviously, you can watch it later, again and again and again. Or if you just like hearing Brooke's voice, then you can rewatch
my
it.
voice is the best. I don't lie.
I don't know.
Smooth operator over here, bro.
Mm.
Jalen side, blue side, EXO, Alan Grant,
Alan Gilbert.
Gilbert. My bad. Wrong. I'm merging people
Jurassic
now.
Park.
I know.
Awesome
I
guy.
was thinking Alan, and then I was thinking Kiwi.
We have a T-Rex.
And then I just went. Anyways, you know, Black Tree, awesome guys. Small but mighty. You know, those guys are crazy. All those guys, I love them all. So that's blue side. Perky, Chris, red side. What else we got, Perkins?
So, well, we got to talk about the actual game. So we've got to talk about the maps. We've got to talk about props. We've got to talk about anything that's more immersive for players, whether that's on the field, if they're doing maybe, well, let's just ask them. So
yeah, sure.
What do you guys want to talk about first? You guys want to talk about maps, the game?
The map. A lot of thought. We didn't just flip the map and like not think about it. So let's pull the map up. So if you played the event previously, you're gonna notice the HQs are in totally different locations. And that's gonna be that is gonna completely change how the game feels. So, you know, I can write whatever backstory, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you're slinging paint at the same field, right? And so it's going to feel like the same game if we don't. And I was like, we need to make some other changes. So we went through and we used Google Earth to like measure out like, okay, like how far away is this location from this HQ? How far away is, right? And then like just from experience of playing on that field, what is it going to feel like? Like just because it's, you know, 50 yards can feel like a lot longer if you have a bunch of, if the ground is rocky, if there's barriers in front of you, if you have to go through the woods, right? That's a different 50 yards than a straight
or go
shoot.
through the wide open.
Yeah, and instead of a wide open 50 yards, that's no obstructions, right? And so, you know, a lot of discussion into making sure that like, is this fair and balanced? Do both sides in terms of the field layout have an equal chance, or at least as close to an equal chance as you can, create on a paintball field, without being in charge of the actual paintball field. So, and so we feel like we did a really good job of that.
I will say, you did. Tell us where it was before. Tell us where the bases were before. Just call the points out.
Yeah.
So fob 1 on the bottom right-hand corner used to be the HQ, and
South
what
HQ,
is
yeah.
labeled, South HQ, and then not fob 2, but what's labeled as the yellow rose, which is crack house if you play rec ball, was the North HQ.
Mhm.
So we kind of thought, okay, well, we're stretching them out and putting them far apart, blah, blah, blah. But with the way we started adding these new flags and things like that, there really wasn't like a good 50 that wasn't favoring a side or another. So if we're going to kind of run the flags the way we did, we decided, okay, well, it doesn't really matter. The distances are going to be good, but we're going to widen the 50. The 50 will be a lot wider than it is with the other setup, because it tended to run through the narrower section of the field. Now we hope,
And create a
especially with
bottleneck.
fobs, we'll create a little bit of a bottleneck. I mean, we broke the bottleneck after the first game. We realized bottlenecks, and that's where we put in fobs, and then things like that. And strategic ordnance are big. But with this setup, we think and hope that the 50 will be elongated, and it won't be really very much gridlock. There never really was after game 1, because we fixed it anyway. But we just want to basically throw a wrench in the system. Anybody's planning on, oh, I know how the game goes, you're going to have absolutely no idea, because we don't know how the game's going to go. It's going to feel very different, knowing that the direction everything's coming from is totally different.
Yeah. It's definitely going to change the gameplay, being that pushed that far back. I mean, the north base, I mean, you can do some nasty flanks on that thing now. Whereas before it was backed up against that airfield. And unless you're really dedicated, a lot of people weren't going to try to get down and around there.
Right.
But
And
that's going to be fun.
And as always, strategic ordinances, when commanders use them, they tend to rack up more points than they spend. And some commanders have been very liberal with them, others have been very conservative with them, and some have been like, I just don't believe in them. I want to win the game through brute sheer force up front. Fine, whatever. But players like that stuff.
Yeah.
What
And we do, when we plan the missions out, we do plan missions in mind with the strategic ordinances. Like, man, that mission is really hard unless they buy the strategic ordinance, in which case it's going to be a lot easier, right? And we make the fobs so cheap. Like, there's like 10 points or something.
Oh,
People
well.
still don't use
I
them.
would use
Honestly,
them all the
like,
time.
You should be hitting that every hour.
the
Every
times
hour
that
you
I
should be-
commanded, I didn't spend. The only time I spent one, I think I did once,
It's
and that
20
was
points.
just because they like gassed our base, and I was like, I'll just do theirs too. So then I gassed theirs, and that's, I think, the only points I ever spent.
So some of these strategic ordinances were developed very much off of, like, before I joined Night Stalkers, before I really played, like, I really loved, like, coming up behind the bases and just
Right.
like walking right up, nonchalant, hey, how you doing? And just walking away with like 5 mission cards and shredding them. You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Right. I have nothing against using them. I think just in the moment, like, I'm like, do I need to use them versus, like, I mean, I didn't even know that the other one was 10 points. I mean, 10 points, 10 points.
Yeah, it's really
right?
cheap.
Right.
We
our cheapest mission is like our lowest scoring mission for any given hour, I think in some cases 25, and that's usually something that's like right out your front door.
yeah.
Right.
Normally
risk
it's
versus
50, normally
reward.
it's 50 and up. Yeah. The only thing that's really expensive is the sleeper agent, which you can buy
Those are
one,
cool,
and if they're extremely good at the job, then they
they'll
can
be there
pay for.
Yeah.
They'll be there all
Yeah.
day, because their whole, and we made them so nerfed as far as what they're allowed to carry, that they're not like some sort of like just wild Rambo behind the enemy lines.
Yeah.
It's really just someone that's there to gather intelligence and maybe disrupt stuff and try and keep a low profile. But yeah, the way it worked, actually game 1 was really the only time that somebody, I feel like, used the sleeper agent to its full full capacity, full capability. You know, basically what I designed, what I was my thing that I've really pushed pretty hard with Christian and Andrew about is like, I want a way to do this where it's a tight field. It's hard to get behind any lines on this field, but I want to have a way to like legally do it, but not give them too much power. And Logan, what's his last name? I forget it, but he plays for Blacktree. We found out that he'd been out there for like 4 hours just running around like messing shit up for red team in the very first game. He called in a chopper to him. They brought him clothes to dress as a woman. Then he kills his own guys. He kills his own team. And then Dan Texan and like 3 other dudes are like converging on this building where the helicopter just landed. And now all the guys are walking out dead. And then him wearing an armband and no bullets in his gun is like, they're all dead. And they're like, oh, how'd you get in there? You're amazing. And then he turned around and left. And then he just put this woman's clothing on and went and completed this mission where he had to like seduce the politician in the bars. And it was fucking hilarious. It was the greatest. It was absolutely epic. It was so smart. They used 2 strategic ordinances to get a very, very difficult mission done. And that was, they already had a sleeper agent in place and they brought in a fast rope, which was 3 or now I think it's 5 guys, but 3 guys on a helicopter with props. So you can get props and clothing and shit across the field legally and land them wherever a friendly player already is. And he's a friendly player. He's just wearing a different armband tape because he's undercover. And they did exactly what I had hoped for that mission. In fact, I think that mission, I was like, I'd like to see him get it done without using ordinances. And they did.
Sweet.
And it was
That's
pretty
awesome.
badass.
Those sleeper agents are ridiculous. I remember the first time you guys did it. I mean, I got wrecked by the same guy twice, and I murked one of my teammates because of it. He got me in a like I was walking in one of the little huts like through, and he shot me in the back, and I was like, that's the motherfucker that got me. So I came back and I murdered him. Everybody's like, what are you doing? I was like, this is the guy. I started screaming. It's like, this is the guy. And then I walked and got murdered again. I never found out who it was. Coach ended up shooting him.
I love that Dave at the very first event, he found out there may be a sleeper agent on his side, and he just like ordered everyone to die. Like he just like kill everybody who looks like vaguely like this person.
Yep.
And just shoot them.
Just shoot them. No questions asked.
So
so let's go ahead and you want to talk about the night map?
Yeah, sure. I mean the night map is there are some questions here and some comments. Striker says a live score. We could look at that. We do tell you how many points each mission is worth, and you do get to find out as a commander if you completed the mission or not. So if you're just keeping score, you can't.
I think he's trying just to keep score for both sides, and that would obviously change both sides play. And so,
yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to post like, "Hey, you've got 500, they've only got 250," because then it's like, then the winning side's like, "Oh shit, okay, just strategic ordinance just like dump on people."
Yeah, I'd run it up on them.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, I don't think that's cool play, but
yeah, I mean, but to just kind of shut it down. I mean, for us, I went to Avid and we got some like discount card they had an ATV tank out there, so we got to ride in it, shoot out the windows. Dude, I bought it for like the last 3 hours of the game because we had enough to do it, and we were just rolling it over and over and over and over, and then
But knowing what money you have is fair.
It makes it even easier.
But you got to be blind to what the score is between the two teams,
Yeah.
Otherwise, especially players, I feel like they'd start dropping off when they realize the score.
100%. That's what Squirrel just said in the chat. Same thing.
Yeah.
And when we were rolling that tank through a bunch of times, it got thin over there.
Right. And the other thing too, it's like each commander, obviously, each responsible commander will have a score tabulation of knowing what has gone out, what's been completed, what's been scrubbed. So you have an idea of how many missions completion, what your points are looking like. And you can kind of guesstimate maybe what the other team is, but you really don't know. And we kind of have to keep that close to the chest because no matter if we're doing really, really well or we're not doing well, we got to make sure we're keeping players engaged with the game, motivated. And so I feel like if you know the score for both sides, that's going to completely change that dynamic completely in a negative way.
Part of what we've done also a few games back, we tried to do it all along, but we started with perforating the cards so the commander could always keep like the cliff notes of the mission and not leave and wander off with them with a player. But now, technically speaking, unless the commander needs to send somebody directly from base that doesn't have a phone or tablet or know what the hell's going on, they have the card that stays at base and everything's run through the chat, and other players can complete it, and they can radio in that's completed, and you have a record you can fall back on and be like, oh, we got this mission. Well, I know that mission's 100 points. So I know I got that one. I know I got this one, this one, this one. So you can keep a running tally, and you actually have the ability to like fall back in and check, double check it, you know.
And that is something that we use, right? For those people that are new or may be watching this for the first time, is we use we use GroupMe, and we drop the missions every hour through GroupMe. And so that way, what we don't want is, you don't want a situation where, you know, people are like, I don't know what the mission is. I don't know what the mission is, because only it's written on a piece of paper, and only one guy had the piece of paper, and that guy left the field, and you know, or the commander only gave it to select guys, right? That's another thing too, is we don't want a situation where players can't get the full experience that they paid for, right? Because the commander is restricting intelligence to the players. And so we want that to be freely available, and it's got to be up to the commanders on how to operate in those parameters. But we're going to give that information out to all the players, so they can bring their cell phone on the field, or they don't want to, you know, they don't want to bring their cell phone. We still have the hard copy paper, old school style way.
Right.
But for the ones that do, you know, keep their cell phone in a pouch or whatever, you know, they can follow the GroupMe and see, oh, hey, and then I mean, really, once you get like a quarter of the guys with cell phones, you know, those guys are now communicating to other guys, and now a significant majority of the team knows generally
what
what's
the hell's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think I commanded the game
actually,
that
when I
kind of spearheaded that. Like I was kind of like the guinea pig
Yeah,
for
you
that.
did.
And it was amazing. Like,
I loved it. It's my favorite thing ever.
yeah. And of course, I was very apprehensive about having a phone on the field because I had already replaced one due to a paintball. So that's like an $800. But I bought proper cases and all that good stuff, and never had an issue since then. But man, that was such a help.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of elaborate on that, because I would say that after 3 games now, because we did 1 in tanks, then a 2-day game, and then this last game at tanks. Yeah, so this will be the 4th game out of this will be the 4th out of 7 that we did it. We almost did it for the 2-day game, the second 2-day game, I think it was, but we didn't quite put it together. But feedback that we got from the second 2-day game in 2022 made us want to, you know, figure it out and perfect it. I mean, it really just clicked. Like, it worked way better the first go around, and it hasn't stopped working since. Like, it's just been a very easy process.
Right.
A little bit of forethought in the way we get everything set up the weekend prior, scheduling the messages to go out, but it all happens right on cue, 12 o'clock, right on the dot. And a lot of the big apprehension that people had, that I think now I will say is put to rest, and they should agree, and I think the players would definitely agree, is that what you didn't have happen that was a concern was having too many people going for the mission and not like holding positions and maintaining field
Everybody
control.
came off the field.
And we kept saying, like, we know that's not going to happen, like, because you have the exact opposite in every single game you've ever played, and that is 1 or 2 people know what the hell's going on. Everyone else doesn't, and they're just sort of like, well, I think I'll just go take this river, or you know what, there's not enough action here, I'm gonna fall back, and they give up a route for somebody to come in behind you. What ended up happening was, you know, we talked about that. I was like, well, right now you have, like, they were worried about having too many chiefs and not enough Indians. I was like, well, right now you've got exactly the opposite. And they were worried that their command structure would fall apart. And there's limiting factors to it. One, right away, who's going to bring a phone on the field that wants to, and and download an app and create a username. So 3 bars to get over. Then they have to do their due diligence to talk to the commander to get the QR code to get access to the chat. And commanders can have whatever stipulations they want, as long as there is a stipulation and they allow it. The stipulation can't be only my own team gets it, fuck everybody else, because we'll shut that down immediately, and I'll give them the QR code, and then you're going to really not like what happens. But what we don't want to have happen is, or what didn't end up happening was, there was not that many people that do that. It's maybe 20% participation, but that compared to having 2% of your entire army know what the objective is, and the one guy with the card dies, has no air, and decides to walk off the field with the card, now you can't complete the objective.
And he has no radio.
There's no radio to even tell you he did it.
Contacting him.
Yeah, I mean, we took all the things that we've seen happen hundreds, if not thousands of times.
Right.
Yeah.
And we waited, and we really did fix it. It really does work. And we've seen commanders that use it, not like some sort of religious tool, but they just use it, let the players use it and provide feedback, smoke the other ones. I mean, the first game right out the gate, the blue team decided, hey, this is really great. We're going to run everything through Discord instead. Okay. And then they had no chats going on. And the cool thing is we can scroll through red and blue history because we're on both, Christian and I are on both chats. And the person who's won has been the person that communicates with his team through that chat. And it still use radios, but you can send pictures of intel. You can clarify something. You can send a picture of a rule book requirement or something like that. I've seen all sorts of stuff, things I didn't expect to have happen, but information is super valuable. And I never could understand anybody pushing back on the idea of giving more information and more intel to their players.
The second
think-
I knew it worked was
Yeah.
when I was at the game with Perky and I had my phone out because I'm one of those guys that takes my phone out every time regardless. I don't care if and when what, if there's even information going to it, my phone's on me. I had my phone out and some guy, I don't even know who he was, just plain Jane clothes, came up. He had a Titman TMC and he holds the phone. He said, "Hey, dude, is that whatever point we're fighting for right now?" I'm like, holy shit, this thing works. This guy, I don't even know, knows what's going on. And we're meeting up at this point because he looked on his own, right? And he got some, stragglers following him. And then we all worked our way in and got that done. But let's move to this chat real quick for a second. He says, Hosanna is in. Hello, Hosanna Kingsman. If you pay to go to an event and then quit, you are a selfish little, he misspelled biatch. Is what he meant
He
to
did
put
say
there.
bum.
He said biatch. I think he misspelled it. Squirrel saying, I've broken 2 phones doing barrel rolls. I believe that because Squirrel's always doing some crazy stuff. Striker said, a lot of events around the country display updated scores. Sometimes the team winnings will lose players because they feel that they can take a break. And then the losing starts to catch up. Live update scores go both ways. I have seen that, but I've seen it in segmented games at like Super Game. So once that little portion chunk is closed, then scores will go up. But they use those points for that section only at that time. So you got a 4-hour segment here. You only get to play around in there, but at the end of it all, bing, bang, boom, it's at the end. I personally haven't seen live scores, but I could see how that can be taken advantage of both ways. But I think I can see how it could be helpful at the same time. I guess everything's a double-edged sword when you're being a competitive sport.
Yep.
All right. Do we want to bring Chris back out?
So he was having some internet issues. I told him to go ahead and just let me know if he has any other questions. Yeah, guys. So since we talked about earlier, I know some of you guys just logged on. This will be the last Texas Revolution potentially for at least a whole another year. So definitely make the trip, make everything possible to make it for the event. Register for blue, register for red. Just get your butt to the game. You're gonna have a lot of fun. You're gonna have a blast. And I mean, it's a top-notch game, top-notch scenario at one of the bucket list fields out there. And by bucket list field, I mean that wholeheartedly. Like, it's a bucket list field.
It's a great field.
All right. So we've talked about the day map. Before we go over to the night map real quick. So for Texas Revolution series, do the command boxes, let me rephrase that. Do the command staff change from day 1 to day 2 as far as their starting places?
Yeah, they flip sides. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Sorry, I was working on the intro stuff till 2 and then all day,
right.
and I'm just
they switch sides. So if you're like, man, this side of the field sucks. All right, well then if that's the reason why you're losing, then we'll find out
tomorrow
on Sunday.
We'll find out when we switch it.
But we there's the same number of points on Sunday. I think it's like 1 hour less time, but it's the same number of points fought for on Sunday as Saturday. So each mission goes up in value a little bit on Sunday.
Man, this being the last one, I might actually have to play night game. I never play night game. I might have to play. I see
Yeah.
all the
The
cool
only
suits and the cool
the only
videos.
event I've ever been to where the referees have as much night vision as the players.
I'm
We
gonna
see
have to
you
borrow
cheating.
one of y'all. Yeah, we see you cheating. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah,
I
those
love
Magoo
that.
glasses doesn't help him at night either. So
Thermal
All
can
right.
Oh, that
show
was a
those
joke.
hits.
My bad.
I
Nobody
literally
laughed.
walked over and told the guy, I was like, I saw it hit you. I saw you wipe it. I saw you keep playing. I can see it. It's right there on your leg. you have 5 seconds before I judge punch. You get the fuck out of here.
All right. So here is the night map.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
We keep things simple at night. You know, we simplify the missions. Look, everything is more difficult because it's dark outside. And so we keep the missions real simple. We run 2, maybe 3 missions per hour. But these missions sometimes have multiple steps to them. But we don't. We try to keep the number of missions relatively simple. There's going to be a like during the day portion, we have the flags that you capture. There's going to be these satellite dishes that we brought at the last year's event, today event. These satellite dishes that will have a flip switch and they'll light up red or blue, and so there'll be one on one part of the field, another one at the other part of the field. And so those will all be always ongoing. Always be, those points are going to be accumulating over the course of the night game. So if you completed your mission, you know, your 2 missions for that hour early, then you can always go fight for, you know, these light up satellite dishes. Every prop has a light element to it.
Okay.
Because you know, it's dark, and so we want to. What we don't want we want to do is we want to attract people to the, like, if you see someone running across the field and they have some sort of blinking thing in their hand, right? Like, shoot at that guy. You know, we want to attract everyone to you know, to engage with the missions, and so all the props will light up or make sounds or light up and make sounds. And then we're gonna have like chem lights at all the objective locations as well. So there's going to be mixed lighting. There's a lot of lighting that comes off from the staging area. So it is a mixed light environment. If you don't have night vision, like if you don't have night vision, then you're going to find yourself probably wanting to play more near Foxtrot, Charlie, Bravo, Delta, Echo, because those areas are going to have a lot of light coming in from the staging area. And there's going to be missions over there. And then if you're a night vision guy and thermal guy, you may want to be playing more Alpha Golf India Hotel, which is going to be more down the embankment. It's going to be much darker down there, and then you're going to be able to maximize your hardware in that area of the field. So you know, don't feel like you can't play. We want to make this a night game for everybody, and so we put thought into it so that it's not just whoever has night vision, you know, trashes the team that doesn't have night vision.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah. And your starting
actually-
positions are those emblems with those logos.
Sweet. That's actually quite thoughtful.
Yeah.
I know Dan and I were going back and forth. So Dan was running both thermal and
night vision.
NVGs. And so I
He
had
just
my
hung
little
out. He just hung out in the creek area and just demolished everybody.
when we were going back and forth up at the top part of the field, and I had like a little thermal spotter, and we were just, I kill him, he'd kill me, I kill him, he'd kill me. It's just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So it was fun. Awesome. So we talked about the night map. Props. Any new props, or besides the night ones that we just talked about with the lights? Anything that you can share with us? I know
Yeah, we got
the
a few. So we try to make everything, of course, like something trick between making it awesome and durable and not too complicated, because I've learned from the first few games of making them overly complicated. But yeah, I mean, what people have probably seen where you have these briefcases that usually there's some sort of puzzle element involved,
Okay.
and then that usually just gets you to activate whatever plugs into it. So
Okay.
for those that have played before, you guys probably remember the fuel pump gray control panel. It has the hot wires things you have to figure out, but it also takes 2 guys, 2 hands each, so it really like locks down a lot of personnel to make it work. And then the thing is that's not dedicated to the fuel pump. It can power
Not
whatever we
anymore.
plug into it. So yeah, we made it so that everything's modular. There's basically a puzzle prop,
Okay.
and then there's some sort of activation or power
Power
prop,
supply.
Power
something that
supplies.
something that does something, right? So there's one now that's sort of roughly based around the game operation in a way. You got to kind of be careful not to touch the sides. That's all I'm going to say. And if you do, you got to kind of restart. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And then things that
Get
get
shocked.
plugged into it. yeah. I have wanted to shock players. I just haven't figured out how to do it.
You see how excited when he said that? His
I
eyes
have.
were like, it's like I
I'm
thought
not even
about
gonna
it.
hide it. I really want to have somebody stick their hand in it, and just fuck. I can do it again. I've thought about doing it so many times. Where I'm like, did we write a tight enough waiver on this game? I don't think we did. But yeah, there's whatever we plug into it. The pump, for example, is one of those things can be plugged into it. And another thing can be plugged into is there's a electronic latch box, and inside of that box we can either put clues or a chest timer or whatever, but you can't open that thing without activating the puzzle prop, and that's the way all of them kind of work. When it comes to the big stuff, the small stuff, you've seen the smoke grenade or smokes that are remote activated, the demo cans that are remote activated that make a super loud bang. Those have been the bane of my existence, but they're awesome when they work, and they're just super cool because guys run around with just basically a giant kill everybody in a 30-foot long building with one charge, remote thing, and it's audible and you can tell it went off.
Before
it fires like a pistol round basically.
Yeah, so it uses a Bang 22, and I got those ram shots that are the loudest that they make, and so it's about 140 decibels. It's a little bit muffled because it's inside the metal container, but it has holes. But yeah, it is super loud. And you can put it on the outside of a wall of any structure, and it will wipe everyone in the building. There's not a building on Texas Paintball that's too big to be considered a full kill of the whole place. Structure's still there. It's basically just kills the people inside.
So even
you can't pick one.
Processing plant.
Nope. He said all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think the biggest. So
like South Data Bank, for example, the big U-shaped building, South Data Bank, City Hall, and then
New Alamo, which was the old NASA building.
Yeah, if somebody got that in the basement, it would just wipe the first floor in the attic. It's a strategic ordinance. You have to spend money to get it, and you have to get it. You have to plant it. You can't throw those things. I see you throw one, and
he's gonna
a ref will
it
come
won't
over.
Matter if we make any more Texas Revolutions or not, because you'll never be playing one again. But
Judge Punch, you're instantly out of the game.
So I got a question for you guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is your favorite prop ever? Since we're 7 in now, what is your favorite prop? I got one in my head.
The bleeding dummy.
You gotta ask him, making or using.
The bleeding dummy. Fuck yes. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah. And then hearing Bert's voice on it, the best. He's like, shit,
so
I'm hit.
the bleeding dummy. Actually, the last 2-day game, the fight for that thing was probably about the 20 to 24 minutes of the most epic paintball I may have ever witnessed. I think Hosanna actually blacked out, lost consciousness for a few seconds.
He was like,
because he fought so fucking hard that he literally got winded. It was like, we didn't even know. Like, we were like, oh shit, like, are you all right? Like, he just sat back up. But yeah, that thing, trying to get it tourniqueted off, is squirting blood everywhere. The guy's yelling. It's my voice. I'm just sitting there like. I'm sitting there talking shit because I knew that somebody would fuck up the tourniquet. So it's like, do you guys even know how to use a fucking tourniquet? I'm dying here. It's awesome.
Tell my wife I love her.
Yeah, tell
my wife I love her. That's the one I remember.
And we've had guys that I tell you what, the first time we ever did that thing, we tested it at Tanks Paintball with a meetup, and it was like the perfect geographic location for that fight to happen, because one team kind of had control of the building but couldn't quite get out. And the other team wouldn't let them out, but they couldn't quite get in. And so there was guys in there just fucking putting pressure on it. The guy's hiking the tourniquet up, and they're cussing, and it's bleeding, and like telling the dummy to shut the fuck up because they're getting so mad at it. And And I'm like backed up in a corner with a video with one phone recording and the
Berg's
other
like-
one talking.
He's like pressing all the talking.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, so that was definitely a crowd pleaser. But the thing is when we played the first 2-day or first full scenario game with it was at Tanks, and it was the one day, and the geographic location wasn't that good, and one team just ran up, grabbed the thing, like pulled around the corner, cinched it, and then took off running, and the whole mission was over with like super fast. And I was like, fuck. Because but then the last 2-day game, there was a really good fight. The dummy ultimately died, so they got certain final points for getting the dummy, but he didn't live, so they didn't get all that. So
yeah, he dripped all over us. I remember.
Oh, dude, some dudes were like drenched. Like, so we had these conversations with a lot of different things. The first time we like sat at Jason's Deli for like 3 hours brainstorming missions, and what we hope would happen. And the dummy came up, but we didn't really implement it for a while because it was hard. But one of which we were trying to, there was the execution video of one of the other dummies, and Jalen was talking about this when he was on, that he felt like he had to worry about the terrorist watch list because he did an execution where they like literally read like the prisoner's like last rites or whatever,
and a bag over his head and
had to post it on Facebook, and then it was executed on the shot. It just shot to the helmet. So we had that. We also had this capture the governor one.
People are like, I think it went too far. I'm like, nah.
I know. We were like, this is awesome. And they're all like, but then there was this one with this 140-pound waterlogged grappling dummy that Christian hated that was sat in a wheelchair, and it was supposed to be like
My truck was just.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like our version of Greg Abbott, and he was supposed to get captured by the other team and like taken back to the other base, but it was kind of too hard of a mission to get to. But we were like second floor dummy, and we were all just sitting around. I was like, I hope that they'll just throw him out a window. I just want to watch him fall and just
push him down
like,
the stairs,
or just roll his ass down the stairs. Like, but yeah, the bleeding dummy one was another one because it was like, I want him to bleed. I want them to feel like they're trying to stop it, and I want to see children in the staging area walking or watching guys come off from the 5 o'clock mission break, and like guys are just drenched in blood, like carrying a life-size looking human over their shoulder, and they're like, oh, that was great, I had a great time, and like there's smoke in the background from the field from something going off, and everyone just be like, what the fuck are these guys doing? Like kids are like 10 years old. It almost happened. It was close, but there was a few guys that were literally covered in the blood. He likes
dummy.
Dummy. Yeah.
Dummy. I think my favorite is the vest. And the only reason I liked it is, unfortunately, I've only got to interact with like 3 or 4 props.
The ones that have C4 plugs?
Yes. And the only reason I liked that one so much is because I knew what it was. And I got to figure it out without playing your game. And I was so excited about it because I thought I was going to blow up. And I was stressed out. People were screaming at me. People were on the radio screaming at me. And people were like, oh, back out of there. If he dies, he dies. You know, I think Christian was there with me, actually. When
I was there. I recorded the whole thing.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, shit, this is like a gun show. I was like, if I plug on this one first, and then on this one, and this one, and I followed it all the way back, and it didn't go off, and you came up, you're like, oh, yeah, that'll work. I was like, yes.
Yeah, you found a way around it. Yeah.
And then that big bomb thing that you push the button to hold the point, that thing is cool. You put it in the graveyard or the cemetery. Sorry.
He's talking about the one that what's his face?
E-Vike. Yeah, so that's actually a loaner. That's like a pre-made thing. Costs like $800.
I was
that one.
I was giving you mad props, dude. I thought you made that thing. I was talking.
Fuck it, I did. Yeah, let's go with that.
I was talking about big.
It works. It was great. I made it.
I was like, bro, there's this big ass thing they had. I had to hold this fucking button, and people were shooting at me. I was holding it like this, and it was crazy. And he made that thing, bro. He made it. And I was just like, and bro, I was talking to him. So yeah, you shouldn't have said nothing, bro. I talked you up for like a year for that one.
Well, keep it up. It's fine.
You're like, it's fine.
You still had a good time. One of the ones that I definitely like, I think, is a crowd pleaser because Christian technically brought up the dummy. Dummy was awesome. But one of them that the first time we did it proper was game 2. Get 2-day game was game 2 was the water pump fuel mission, because the first year some soldering something other failed, and we had to basically, I don't know what the fuck workaround we came up with. I basically just sat there with a timer. I was like, okay, now you can run with your water, and that was the only prop that broke, and it really pissed me off because the one I want to watch the most. But the second
is that the one where someone ripped the cord out? Is that the one?
That was at Tanks, and that was
Okay.
the third. That
Yeah.
was the third time we used it, and it did not work because somebody ran through a wire and tripped over and broke it. But the second time it worked fine. It was a 2-day game, and it ran it like a champ, and it was just a lot of chaos right there. It's a great middle point in the field, and just watching people get up there and just be like, oh my god, like they're just start freaking out, and you have to do so much like work on that mission. It's a very hard mission to do quickly. In fact, it's impossible to do quickly. You have to have 2 people just on the prop, and so you have to have several other guys for security.
Right.
And then once you you can't do anything to make the water pump faster. So that was our way of, in an analog way, creating like a progress bar, right? Like if I could digitally create something on a video game like arming a bomb, but it takes 30 seconds, you would just have a digital code like tick 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 till you're done. I was
Right.
like, well, the only way I can do this without becoming a programmer and spending way more money is to have a pump that pumps water into a can. And you can't leave until it's full. Well, you can, but you have to come back more times. So that one's always been fun. I think it's also been a fan favorite for players as well, because that's a very big mission that happens over the course of 2 hours. And technically both teams can get full points. It just kind of depends on the tug of war.
Right.
What about you, Perky? Last one up.
I was thinking about it. I've been in the box so much that like I haven't really been able to interact with a lot of the props on the field outside of maybe some of the MagFed meetups that they have been able to show. I did get to interact with the case that had the light switches. So the battery pack that would power said case. That was a lot of fun because, when you're in the middle of a shooting match and trying to solve it while, protecting your own and this and that in the chop house at Tanks was quite fun. Because the thing is I enjoyed the simplicity of the puzzle. It still had a challenge, but when you're literally in the middle of a firefight, it just
Everything's
adds
hard.
that much more complexity to it and challenge that makes it that much more fun. That one, and then the Morse code one was fun. So it was the little machine that had a pre-recorded Morse code. You had to solve it. So I got that one solved pretty quickly. But just I like the variations of the different props that you guys have come up with. I think it's probably been my favorite, where it's not like different versions of the same prop, where just having the different variety.
I'm going to divert and say the worst one of them all, where we really just shot for the moon and it came nowhere close, was this one that involved compasses and like coordinates and waypoints.
They could not.
I remember that one.
Oh my god! I was like, okay. We were radio back and forth. I was like, yeah, okay. Take note. These guys are not who we want to hang out with at the apocalypse, because like
a giant electrical diagram.
So we had this thing where like there were 4 orange stakes. The goal was that each team could easily get to 2 of the 4, and you only need to get to 2 of the 4 and shoot a bearing from each.
I remember this
stake. And you then take the map, knowing the stake locations, which were marked on the map that we gave you. And then you just, okay, it shot a bearing. Okay, it was pointing at this tree. Okay, boom, there's a line. Go to the next stake and do the same thing with the other bearing that you had to figure out. And then put that on the map and be like, all right, X marks a spot. And that's where you went with a metal detector to dig up gold. And dude,
people who are new to this probably thought, oh, and then the stuff was at the X, and it's like, no. Then you take the metal detector.
Yeah. But nobody got anywhere fucking close. By the way, spoiler: the X was very centrally located near the bridge that goes over the trench, the centralized bridge, not far from there. Very centrally, very fair, but you specifically didn't want. It was in the open, so you did not want to spend a lot of time out there with a fucking metal detector. But anyway, I had dudes with metal detectors in the mulch piles, like up on top. Like I'm like, what the fuck? How did we get this far off? Like, nobody got even close. I don't think anybody.
I was gonna say
shot the
right
right
bullshit
bearings.
with that mission lasts entirely too long that I handed off the metal detector and I fuck this. Let me
I
just make
just
sure they don't get close to you guys.
I just remember it was a 2-hour mission because it was time
It
consuming
was
coordinates
fucking
and stuff like that.
long.
It was 2 hours, but it was a lot of points, and there was points for each like part. Find your compass, figure out, crack the right like 3-digit
hmm
bearing, and then the big coup de grace was dig in the right
Yeah,
spot
dig.
and
Yeah.
actually get it back to your base. I think one team got one of their three-digit bearings correct on
Mm.
paper, and that was the end of it. But I mean, I had dudes, and then the thing was, is the mission was over with. Like an hour and 20 minutes later, there was still somebody running around with a metal detector, like, "I'm here, I'm here," and I'm like,
I finally found
"I'm
it.
not gonna tell them." I was like, "I'm not gonna tell them." Like, read the mission
Yeah.
card. It's been over with
Just-
forever.
Yeah, I think you
Yeah.
guys do a great job placing the missions in the right spot.
Mhm.
I really remember clearly, and Burke finds it funny because we all screamed at each other in the fucking. I don't know what that house is called. It's the one with the long dark hallway with the basement, and we were
So-
doing.
It's called
We're
something
doing
in
the-
this
different.
in this
Talent
coming
Order.
one, it's the. I'll pull it back up. It's brand.
But you guys had the
processing plant.
So it's the new Alamo.
No.
the new Alamo. That's
The
it
New
right
Alamo,
there.
New
yeah,
Alamo.
that's right.
Oh, okay,
I'm
yeah,
trying
So
to find
it's
my map.
it's where we put. You guys put the briefcase bomb,
Mhm.
and we're all
Yeah.
arguing in there about
Oh,
what needed to
yeah.
be
Oh,
done.
that shit was
And how
awesome.
everybody was on top of it, and then I started screaming at people to back up because people were getting everybody was fighting,
And,
but
and the whole
everybody
thing's
was
like beep, beep,
yes, and
beep,
everybody's stressing
beep
out.
the
It's
whole
fucking
time.
dark.
Oh my
It's
god,
hot,
I made
it's
that
fogging.
I missed that prop, but it was
I bet it was
so
terrible to work on.
it wasn't too bad. But
It was terrible to
I
write missions around
it was
because
very
hard.
it dominated so many missions,
mhm.
and it was like
It was
it was
a
how do I
big
how
like
do I
how do we make a new
read?
game without doing the exact same missions for the first
I
5
see,
hours,
I
3
see.
hours?
Right. Yeah.
But
It just
the
dominated too many missions.
Damon, I think, was the one that was solving that, right?
G-Man.
It was G-Man.
Yeah.
What's
He was
his
the
real
one
name?
solving it.
It's not Damon?
William.
William
William. Oh, okay.
Geisman. Yeah.
I've got a video of it somewhere. I'll try and
Somebody
find it.
yelled the wrong fucking wire.
But
That's what it.
It was just
that
like
was-
red. It was like red or orange, and it was like so close. Like, oh,
it was so very few times have I witnessed somebody actually get to do that prop, because normally I got yanked over to this side of the field and then I come back and they've either blown themselves up or they completed it and it's over with and I didn't see it. But I actually got to enjoy that one. It's 2 stages for those that maybe never saw it. And the first thing is switch activated based on a Venn diagram puzzle. And you had to figure out which order of switches, up or down, for 8 switches. And then when you get done, if you think you've solved this thing correct, you press a button. And if you're correct, a little hatch opens. You get a clue and a screwdriver to unscrew and get to some wires. If you get it wrong, it sets off a small smoke charge. Everyone in the room's dead from gas poisoning or something like that, but the bomb still ticks on. And you have to go back and spawn and come back. Anyway, so he did the switch puzzle thing, which usually, from my experience, with the exception of Jalen solving it on blue team every time, and I never saw it, they always screwed it up. And I remember him sitting there reading. He's like, "Everyone shut up." And he was like, would very quietly flick one switch, read, think, watch, flick a switch. And then when he got done, he was just like, handed the diagram, like wiped his hand and like flipped the switch, the test, and then pressed the button and the hatch opened. It was just like such a gangster moment, like the way he did it, because he did it so smooth. I don't even know if he meant to, but the way he just was like,
I was gonna say that just
and,
sounds
like, he
like
flipped the
G-Man.
last couple switches, and then he hands the diagram away. Like, I'm not going to need this anymore, because it's like, you know, you're going to win the game of poker. And then he flipped the switch, and the door opened, and went on to the next thing. And then he did that one correct too. And I remember overhearing the conversation between him and the guy holding the flashlight for him. And he said that wire's red. The other guy's like, "No, that's orange." And I'm like, "Ooh, it makes all the difference in the world because of the way it was written." And he was right. He was right. But the other guy talked him out of it, and he cut the last wire. He cut wrong and set the whole thing off. So, and I got all that on tape. I got most of that on tape, at least. I think I edited it down so it's not 25 minutes long. But it was really cool. It was a very fun prop, but it was hard to
I
write
mean,
missions for.
firefights are going on outside. People are throwing smoke bombs, so like all the smoke's getting in this little area. We're all choking and dying and sweating and screaming, and there's loud beeping and thunder bees, and we're all hiding halfway up on the stairs to clear this, and it's pitch black. It's pitch black,
Mhm.
and it just creates for such an intense moment.
Yep.
And for me personally, the where they're placed, that's where it's at. But anyways, Perky, lead us
Yeah.
home.
Any other props that we can talk about for the event? Tape recorders
yeah.
or
So the a new little twist is that the cool missions. So we're always gonna have like the, collect go collect the things.
Right.
For a couple events it was drugs. The white powdered.
Book bags.
I love those props because they were cheap and I could make them. Right. And I think I spent $30 and I bought all those
Would you use
baby
flour or
powder.
would you end up using?
Flour, yeah, flour
Okay.
packets. I just wrapped them in paper.
No,
white
we
printer
literally
paper.
bought Colombian Boom Boom and wrapped it.
I was
No
about to
one,
say,
no
that
one
wasn't
knew
a
because
cheap
no one
prop
tested
then.
it. No one tried it.
Man, if Goon was at our event, all right.
Oh no.
Jesus.
Anyway, so one roll of duct tape, a little bit of plastic wrap. Yeah, it's awesome. But we're always gonna have that. We're always gonna have the flags. But the badass crazy missions with the props and all the the stuff that he's talking about, those are going to be on tapes, and so you're going to have missions where you have to go find the tapes, and then you're going to have to bring the tapes to your team's data bank, and your team's data bank is going to be a tape recorder. Then you're going to have to go find an old man to show you how to use a tape recorder.
Oh fuck! Oh, you're in the future. That's right. That's right. Space cowboys don't know how to use a tape recorder. Love it.
It's like, hey, you got arthritis? Yeah. All right, you're old enough.
How does this work?
What is this thing?
So if you're an
No, they
old
look
guy,
you got to look through
there's
the
a role for you at this event.
Oh,
It's the
you're
old
actually
VR.
These young guys are
actual
not going to know
you-
how to use tape recorders.
Yeah.
Now,
there
we'd
was
really
a
fuck them up
video.
if we put them if we like played it and they actually had to rewind it before they could listen to it. Now I gotta figure that part out.
I'll bring my little car, like a little fucking VHS, and rewind
There's
it.
a video of
and
showing kids a cassette tape, and the kid was literally looking through the holes.
Oh my god, that's hilarious. So one thing that's kind of interesting, you can see where your data banks are, and you don't have to go to one that's close to your base, but obviously that's probably the smartest. That also means that you may or may not have access to your data bank. You have to control that, especially when it comes time to use it.
Mm.
If you don't have control of it, you don't know how to complete that portion of your mission, or your next mission.
So you're going to want to assign guys to your data bank just to protect it.
Yeah,
Like,
and
you're
it's
not
going to be
gonna wanna give
drilled
it
to the
up.
wall in a relatively secure spot, so it won't get hurt.
And now,
But
are we also doing the red props are for red, blue props are for blue?
Of course.
Don't mess with them. Like,
correct, you
There'll be
cannot
50/50
mess with
props too, but
yeah.
it'll be
And you
marked
can't
with
mess with the
section.
other people's tapes, but you can. And the tape recorders aren't colored. It's just the one is closer than the other to each base. So
Right.
you could go listen to, if you own control of both of them, and you're in the North HQ and you have South Data Bank, and you got a tape near South Data Bank, you can just run right there and listen to it. And don't have to run all the way back.
Right.
But you don't want to have them storm in and take it over while you're in there. So it's up to you. But you can
Now,
control it.
once
Delays people from being able to get it done. Go ahead.
once the tape is used, that can be brought back to the base, or
Yeah,
Please
once
do.
you listen to it, it doesn't really matter what,
okay.
bring it back to HQ.
No, I'm gonna take a
What's
pencil and I'm gonna
like-
unwind. I'm gonna pull all the tape out,
Yeah, that's right.
and then just gonna have to leave a pencil, and we're gonna have to sit there and rewind it.
I don't want that to happen, but I mean, if it happens on one or two, it won't really matter too much.
If I see a tape and a pencil, I'm gonna be like,
Yeah.
Just going
But
to
yeah,
the
so
chat real quick.
This is
what's up?
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
What's up, Camo? I see you in here. Camo's the other XO for the blue side on the black tree, the one and only black tree. Continue. Sorry, I jumped in there for a second.
Oh, I
Oh,
was
you were
gonna
saying-
say the tape recorder mission is inspired by kind of some of the gameplay we experienced in Indiana at Enigma in 2019, and we really liked it, but we didn't want to copy it. And then it's been enough time that the statute of limitations is out on that, so we're like, yeah, we really should bring that. It was fun. It was really fun. It was a very interesting, like, two-stage. You get points for getting the
Cassette tape.
cassette tape alone, and listening to it and knowing what the mission is part points. But then completing the much harder next portion of the objective is on the tape. And I think we give a little more time for some of them, like if it takes you a better part of the hour to get the tape because of wherever we put it, and listen
Right.
to it and so on and so forth, you still have some time
And there's
to
an
get it
ordinance
done.
too that can give you, it's called second chance, that can give you a little extra time.
Okay.
In case that mission is beginning to expire on you and you need to,
Yeah,
I think my wife just
Camo's
texted me.
listening, and you're running this
Oh,
podcast, so
let me get
both
out
of
here.
you being XOs need to remind your COs.
Yes.
Strategic ordinances we build the game where they are almost a necessity. They also make the game a lot more fun, and players that get to use them when they're selected to. I have not
Really
heard
enjoy
anybody
using them.
complain. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like they love flying, coming in a helicopter and fast roping into a building and just getting right there and behind enemy lines.
Drinking Mountain
Sleeper
Dew.
So,
sleeper
so
agents,
what
and they
you're
use them
saying is
correctly.
we can set up Alan wearing a dress and put him in a building so he can try to seduce, say, a VIP member.
Sure thing. But honestly, the fobs, like the first time we tested fobs out, because the whole goal was to break the 50s, if there were any, and the chaos was just so satisfying. It was amazing. Yeah, it's just like, ugh, they're shooting each other. They just shot their friends. It was awesome.
Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much sounds like that's going to be the game. That we're super, super excited. So if you guys are just joining, this will be the last Texas Revolution for at least another year. Or we're
skipping.
hoping.
We're at least skipping a year. We're keeping it open ended, but we plan
Okay.
to not do one in 2025. 1
Okay.
year from January.
Janu-
Plan to
January
not do
Now,
one.
25.
Are we doing
But-
a second? Like, are we doing a 1 day elsewhere?
We've
We have
sort
no
of cut out the
plans
1
at
days
this time
because
to
it's
do 1 day.
just a little backstory on that. The 1 day is just as much work as the 2 day, minus the ref time. That's literally
Okay.
the only part that makes it easier,
Okay.
which it isn't, because you're cramming
Right.
almost as many props, almost as much storyline and writing, and the pendants cost
Right.
the same, and all this other stuff.
Right.
And then we it's all 1 day, and
We make half the money.
we make
Yeah.
we make nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
I think
We don't
I
make
think
very
we've
much money.
broken. Yeah.
Broken even almost. And then yeah, I'm not gonna. There's some other elements to it too, but yeah, the 1 day game is just not
Well, we don't like taking all of Tank's field, for one.
Right.
Like, we don't want to take the whole field out. That's why it works
Right.
great at Texas Paintball, because we just add to their,
Like the
Revenue.
walk-ons and
abil-
everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Or normal-
add
normal
to their we
business.
add to their business instead of
Right.
shut it down, and then we have to make up for normal, and then on top of that. So
Right.
it's very difficult to do on a field as big as Tanks, but half of Tanks is not big enough. So it's just kind of
Right.
like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
And I want to say, like, Tanks is a great field. It has nothing to do with Tanks not being a good field or whatever. It's just trying to he has it optimized for recreational play,
Mhm.
and I don't think he wouldn't deny that. I think he has it optimized for rec play, and and that's where the money's made. If you're a paintball business owner,
Right.
and so it's been difficult having the game there. Obviously, if there's opportunities in the future, we'd like to work with them, in the future on that. But yeah, we're gonna take a break from the event series for a bit and try to focus on other priorities, and then focus more on playing, and then but we're still gonna have all these props that
We
got to
plan
be
to host
used
the meetups,
somehow.
and
Cool.
Yeah. Doing some meetups and stuff like that too. So
Yeah, like I said, we've got monthly MACFID meetups at Texas Paintball, to the same great location. Usually they're the first Saturdays of every month. So, if you're interested in either showing up to play or maybe running it, definitely reach out either to myself or Chad at Texas Paintball. Either one of us can get you set up for that. And man, well, I'm now more excited to make the most out of this event for myself, and make as many memories. So without further ado, make sure you guys sign up and register for either red side, blue side. Just sign up to play the game. We've got Jalen Lloyd, Phoenix Collective, being the blue commander, and Alan Gilbert from Black Tree as his XO. And then for the red commander, we got Chris Rodriguez from Havoc, and then myself from NNK as the XO for red. So if you want to have a fantastic time for a paintball event, definitely register. You can register through texaspaintball.com, go to their events panel, go ahead and drop down, click the Texas Revolution, and then pick whichever side you guys want to register for. It's going to be a great weekend. We're going to have a lot of fun. If you have any further
Price
questions
goes up in 5 days.
Sorry, what's up?
Price goes up in 5 days.
5 days until price hike. Friends
That's
don't
good
let
to
friends
know.
pay more. So
That's right.
or you can
Also,
also
anyone
Sorry, go
that's
ahead.
been there, we've had great weather. Knock on wood.
Mhm.
You know, anyone that thinks it's too cold hasn't gotten out and tried. It's been, I think it's been like 60 degrees in the daytime
Yeah.
high, like every single
Perfect.
year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nighttime,
gets
however,
chilly.
like if you're
Sure. Hell
camping,
yeah.
bring a heater, bring blankets,
Yeah.
bring a significant other.
Or just play.
Long underwear.
Or just
Or
play.
just play. I like it.
Or just play.
Yes.
You'll stay warm if you're running around.
Yep.
Being angry, taking hits. That'll keep you
Being
warm.
angry.
Guys, it was an absolute blast. Over the last 4 years, 4 years, 3 years.
It'll be
4 years.
four.
It'll be 4, I guess, for January.
Yeah.
Had a blast every single
Something like that.
time. Can't speak any higher than every time that I've played. So I'm super excited to be in the box again. And I think I definitely asked about are we gonna like bring back some of the old stories and kind of fill them out, but because I'm like I can't command against myself. That'd be very interesting.
A Clone Wars.
Yes.
Terminator
Yes.
killing each other.
That's
What's
right.
that movie with Will Smith where he kills himself? That one.
Oh, Genesis.
No.
Gen.
I was gonna say iRobot or something.
No, he's
No.
like he's like a young version of himself. That
Yeah, I
kills
think it's Gen.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Anyway.
you.
Whatever.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you have any questions for Texas Night Stalkers, they can contact y'all through Facebook or your email, which is what is your Gmail?
Texas Night Stalkers TexasNightStalkers@gmail.com.
Cool, awesome.
And registration's looking pretty strong already, isn't it? Like we're like
actually,
it's gonna be a good game, especially get hopefully get some more and fill it out, because I think right now it's looking stronger this time of the year than it has in the past. So price goes up in 5 days.
Yep.
Get them while
I'm really hoping for that we get this to be the largest attended Texas Revolution game to date. So let's push that.
Yeah, I
think
I think 140 has been the biggest one, which was last year, I think, and maybe it was year before, but
like 140ish.
I'd love to see what 200 looks like at our game. It would be just insanity. But yeah, anything north of 150 would be awesome, just to get a big bang out to go out on.
Hey, more bodies, more fun, more memories. So
yep.
Cool, awesome. So if you have questions for them, go ahead and ask Texas Night Stalkers. Find their socials. If you have questions for the field, Texas Paintball, I'll throw up their logo real quick so you can find them. So Texas Paintball, txpb.com. Any kind of camping questions, paint questions, anything like that, Chad will be more than happy to help you. If you have any questions for us, for NNK, you can also find us on our social media stuff on Facebook. Looking forward to the game, and man, I'm super excited. So have a wonderful rest of your evening, and we got some holidays coming up, so have a safe Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, and let us know if we can help you guys get any more information for the game. So until then, I will see you guys. Rook, do you have any last comments?
Nope. See y'all soon. Go in January. No excuses. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Bad Wolf, Red. Any last remarks?
Right. No, I just appreciate you having us on. Look forward to seeing everybody out there. So have a good one.
See y'all soon, guys. See y'all soon.
All right. See you guys. All right.
Later, guys.